Hello and welcome to another edition of The Living Proof. My name is Brandon Hokana, agronomist and certified crop advisor with the Arthur Companies out of our Pillsbury location. Today we're joining you here from a field just west of Pillsbury, North Dakota after a recent large rainfall of 2.5 to 4 inches across our trade area. And we're going to be talking about a few mid-season roundup items here to keep us focused on finishing this crop strong. To get started here, we're going to jump right into talking about wheat. With the large rainfall that we received here, especially in our eastern locations, we noticed quite a bit of lodging on the wheat crop across the area. Right now is a great time to get out and check out your wheat fields and check out lodging across your different varieties. Different varieties took the wind and rain quite differently on how much they are lodged. Some fields are ranking to 80% lodged, to some nearly not lodged at all. This is a great time to take them notes, and this will weigh into your decisions on wheat varieties for next year. With the large rainfall event that we had here and the lodged grain that became part of that, we get to add another pest that we get to scout for this year, and that is the wonderful armyworm. This is a pest that will feed on lodged grain or will start in lodged areas. The best time to get out and scout for these is in the early morning or late in the evening, and you're going to be looking for worms that are between 3/4 of an inch and 1.25 inches long and are at a population above 2 per square foot to justify spraying. The armyworm can move very fast across the field and eat quite a bit every day, so it is a good idea to scout every 3 to 4 days for this pest, especially in your lodged grain. Also, while you're out scouting your fields for armyworms, be sure to be keeping an eye out on the field edges for grasshoppers. Recently here in our eastern locations, we have been noticing some light grasshopper feeding along field edges. Nothing has reached economic threshold yet, but it is a good idea to continue to scout for grasshoppers. Economic threshold is 21 to 40 adult grasshoppers per square yard along the field edge. And you'll also be keeping an eye out for feeding in them areas to make sure that they are not clipping heads. Also here coming in wheat here the rest of the year, we have finished up most head scab applications, and we are looking at a very large crop coming in this area, hence the lodging in our grain. At the filming of this video here now, we're sitting on July 10th, and we're looking at most fields having their head scab applications completed. Flowering is occurring right now in our wheat crop, and it's a great time to reevaluate your fertility program for this year to determine if you need an application of UAN once flowering is complete to bump protein. If you feel like you have a large potential for yield but are short on nitrogen, you can still make a significant impact on your protein content on your grain. In order to do that, you'll apply 10 gallons an acre of 28% nitrogen fertilizer, along with 10 gallons per acre of water. And this application will be made about 10 days after your scab application or at the completion of flowering. If you need help with this timing, talk to your Arthur Companies Agronomist, and they will help you determine on the right time to make this application. Right now, overall on the wheat crop, we look really good, just with a little bit of lodging. We've got a couple other issues to take care of with the armyworms, but overall very optimistic with the way the wheat crop looks, and we're going to be off to the races here for hopefully a great yield. Moving on to corn, overall the crop is in okay shape. Stand counts are poor in several areas, which is going to bring up the issue of making sure that we have fields clean before we can no longer spray. We want to be out looking at cornfields right now to determine growth stage and what herbicides we can still use. Just a reminder that Roundup cuts off at V8 or 30-inch tall corn, and Status herbicide cuts off at 36-inch tall corn. So be sure to be out looking at your fields, making sure there is any weeds to clean up, that you do get them cleaned up here prior to reaching these growth stages. Also right now in corn is a great time to be evaluating your fertility program from this spring. It's a great time to look back at what you put down, what your stand count is, and what you feel your yield potential is sitting today. Our high wheel spreader that is based in our eastern stores has been out top dressing acres that either had half nitrogen rates put down this spring with the intention of coming back, or also acres where we feel we have lost nitrogen due to denitrification from our saturated soils. You can also visit with your Arthur Companies Agronomist on whether you feel you need more fertilizer or not. And our high wheel spreader is capable of going into rather large corn, as you'll see in the picture that'll flash in front of you now, of shoulder-high corn and our spreader. The final subject here to talk about in corn is we have reached the point of the season that we need to start scouting for European corn borer in corn products that do not have a Bt corn trait. With the base 50 GDU model across North Dakota, we are at about 975 base 50 growing degree units, which brings us to about 25% moth emergence for corn borer. Our non-Bt cornfields, we will be working on scouting and determining if a herbicide or an insecticide application will be needing to take place for European corn borer. Finally, we'll take a look at our soybean crop. Soybean crop progress is a little bit behind versus years past due to late planting. However, the soybean crop is coming along nicely with the recent warm weather we have had. There are still a few things, though, that we need to take care of in this soybean crop prior to letting it go to harvest. Top of the list is going to be making sure herbicide applications are being done timely. As you're watching this video, we have passed the dicamba application date for North Dakota, so that leaves us with a few less options to use. We're going to be down to our PPO inhibitors such as Blazer and Cobra. These applications will cause some crop phytotoxicity. However, they may be justified where weeds are bad. Also, to take care of weed control in soybeans today, we'll be looking at getting your lay-by herbicides down, such as Warrant or Sequence or dual containing products, as their rotation restrictions or application windows are coming to an end. Products such as Warrant are an R2 growth stage, and products that contain dual or S-metallochlor need to be done 90 days pre-harvest, which we are closing in on that window today. As we continue to watch our soybean crop grow and close rows, please keep in mind white mold applications, since we do have significant humidity and moisture right now. The ideal time frame for application is going to be at the R1 to R2 growth stage, and products such as Endura are going to be your best foot forward for suppressing and controlling white mold in soybeans. These applications, though, will be heavily determined, though, on your history of white mold in the field and weather conditions as they continue to develop here over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So keep that in mind. Also, at this time of year is a great time to be out taking a look at your fields and looking for yellow soybeans. There's a couple of reasons that they could be happening. Over the past couple weeks, I'm sure all of you have noticed areas of your field that are yellow on the new growth. This is iron deficiency chlorosis that is caused by the lack of iron uptake from the soil. Please make note of these areas in your fields, and we will assist you this next winter on putting a plan together to apply soy green just in them areas where you will get the payback on them. In the next 3 to 4 weeks, if you start to see yellow places showing up in your fields that you cannot explain due to either weather conditions such as drought or too much water, these are areas that are probably showing stress from soybean cyst nematode. Typically, they show up on field entrance areas such as approaches or along waterways. So be keeping an eye out for them yellow areas, and if you're unsure if you have soybean cyst nematode in that area, be sure to soil test and send them off to a lab and determine if they are present or not. If they are present, that will change our management on these fields for years to come and how to manage this pest. Final thing we're going to look at in soybeans here is we're going to look at the general plant health application of a strobilurian fungicide such as Preaxor or Trivapro or Stratego Yield. Ideal application window for these fungicides is going to be at the R3 to R4 growth stage. And you'll find this when you have a 3/16 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch long pod in the upper 4 nodes of your plants. Typically, this application in North Dakota occurs the last week of July into the first week of August. So keep that time frame in mind. But thank you for your time today. Us Arthur Companies Agronomists will be continuing to scout for the items we talked about in today's video, along with any other crop pests or situations that may come up this growing season. If you do need assistance diagnosing something in your field, feel free to give us a call and we'll be happy to help out. Thanks again for your business and look forward to seeing you on the next Living Proof video.